everybody. So this is Sunbeams 3, lesson number 27. And so I'm going to do it as a recording today, and then you can press pause as you go through the lesson to do the different activities. And then, of course, I'm going to meet you for an online meet to listen to your songs and your scales and all those things. So I'll still do that, so I'll still be able to see you. But I'll record the rest of the lesson for you to be able to do at home. So let's get ready with our castanet to sing the welcome song. So take your castanet and we're going to tap the beat while we sing. So we're going to start with ta beats about this speed, but we're going to use an accelerando, and we're going to gradually get faster, and then we're going to gradually get slower. Okay, so here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. When the sun peeks from behind the clouds, the sunbeams sing and play. We will be together in the sun, it is our music day. Then we'll see who'll join us in the fun. Clap your hands and tap your toes. Keep time with everyone. So we gradually got faster, accelerando, and we gradually got slower, retardando. Okay, so I'd like you to get your tin sheets out, and if you need a minute, just press pause and get your tin sheet out, and then you can start with me making the chords for B minor. So we know the Snowman 1 chord for B minor. And last week we colored the nosy 4 chord as well for B minor. Today we're going to add the 5/7 chord, and then we're going to have completed B minor, and next week we'll start a different scale. So on your tin sheet, make me a Snowman 1 chord for B minor. So of course it starts on B and we build above. And B minor scale has an F sharp and a C sharp in its key signature, and there is an F sharp in the chord, so of course you need that sharp on the F line as well. So this is your B minor 1 chord. After you've made the B minor 1 chord, then let's make a B minor 4 chord. That's the nosy chord that we made last week. So we take the sharp away and we pick this one up one note, and then we move this one up once. He's peeking over the fence, he needs a scarf, and this is the 4 chord for B minor. So that's the chord that we colored last week, and we added it to the scale, so we kind of went out of order. Remember, we colored the yellow chord, but this week we're going to add the middle chord, which is the 5/7 chord. So the 5/7 chord, if you go back to your 1 chord, so you've got your B minor 1 chord there, add the sharp back on the F sharp, and now you want to make the note, the hugging 5/7 chord. So his foot drops into a hole, so the B foot goes down 1 to the A, and the middle note comes up to hug the top note. Now there's a sharp there on the top note, so what you have to do is you have to bring your sharp out, still on the F line, and then you have room for the E there, but the sharp is still on the F line. So you have A on the bottom, E in the middle, and F sharp on the top. But in the B minor harmonic scale, remember our 7-up note is the A sharp, so you're actually going to have a sharp on the bottom of your chord, and you're going to have a sharp on the top of your chord. So A sharp, E, and F sharp makes the 5/7 chord for B minor. So make that on your tin sheet, and when you've made it, turn in your book to W45, and that's where we've been coloring the chords. So here is, I'm going to just come a little bit closer so that you can see. So here's the B minor page at W45, and here's the chords that we've been coloring. So we've colored the 1 chord, we've colored the 4 chord. Now this week we're going into the middle and we're going to color the 5/7 chord, and you'll see the A sharp on the bottom and E and F sharp on the top. So there's 2 notes left with the 5/7 chord. The C sharp and the A sharp are going to be played with the 5/7 chord. And when I hear you play today, I'm going to hear you play the B minor harmonic scale with the 1 chord and the 4 chord, not the 5/7 chord, because that's the one that we'll add this week. That's a new chord. So color that in your book, and if you need to, just press pause and do that coloring, and then we're going to move on to the next thing. You'll also need to color the 5/7 chord on W21 and K41 because both of those have 5/7 chords in them. So we've been playing K41 and W21 for a number of weeks. We should be able to play them really well by the time we're finished with every chord. And I will be listening to that when I listen to you play your songs today. I'll be listening to W21 with the 1 and the 4 chord, and K41 with the 1 and the 4 chord, as well as the B minor scale and B minor triads. So you can be ready for that when we meet together to have our listening time. All right, so if you need to do that coloring, just press pause, and then you can get going again, and we're going to move on to L15. So I want you to turn in your book to L15, and there is 6 lines of rhythm. So I'm going to bring the book again closer so that you can see it. So here's our page, L15. We've done a page like this before, but now they've mixed up the time signatures. So we have time signatures that can be in 2/4, 3/4, or 4/4, and we have time signatures that can be 3/8, 6/8, and one possibility of a 9/8. How can you tell the difference between something that's in 6/8, 3/8, or 9/8 versus something that's in 2/4, 3/4, or 4/4? On this page, any rhythm that has TTs joined in groups of 2 would be 2/4, 3/4, or 4/4 because we don't see TTs joined in groups of 2 in 6/8 time. And if the TTs are joined together in groups of 3, then you know it's going to be 3/8, 6/8, or 9/8. And it's not a triplet. If it was a triplet, it would have a 3 on the top of it. If it's 3 T's joined together, you know you're going to be in 3/8, 6/8, or 9/8. So what I would like you to do on each of these lines is I'd like you to figure out what time signature they are. Some of them could be more than one time signature, and we've done that before. Maybe it's on line 1. Maybe you can use 3/4. Maybe you can use as well. You could use 4/4, or maybe you can use 2/4 or 3/4. So you have to make the decision, and then you put the time signature at the beginning. We've got no stickers today, so you'll have to do it with your pencil, and then figure out what the time signatures are. And then when I'm listening to you today at solo time, then I'll look at your time signatures and make sure you've got them. And if you have any questions, you can ask me at that time. So that's L15. Just press pause and figure out what the time signatures are. And then you can press play again and get going with the rest of the lesson. All right, so now you've finished those time signatures, and now I want you to go in your book to W10. W10 was a melody that we learned right at the very beginning of the year, and we're just going to use line number 1 today. So go to W10, line number 1. And on line number 1, we're in the key of C major. So C major, we know the key signature is no sharps and no flats. And the only notes we're going to play are C's and G's. And it sounds like this. C, 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 G, 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 C, 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 G. And we hold that for 4 beats. Now what I want to do today though is I'd like to transpose it. When we transpose something, it's just like when we take flowers from one pot and we move them to another. We call that transplanting. So we transplant the flower from here to here. Looks a little bit different because it's in a different pot, but it's still the same flower. And it's the same when we transpose music. If I want to take something from the key of C major, and now I want to play it in G major, the pattern is going to be the very same, but the notes will be different. So if I'm in the key of C major, and I'm using C's and G's, I'm using the first note and the fifth note of the scale. So I'm just playing C's and G's. But now what I want to do is I want to transpose it into the key of G major. So now I'm going to use the first note and the fifth note of G major. Well, what's the first note of G major? It's G. And what's the fifth note of G major? G, A, B, C, D. So now I'm going to be just using G's and D's, but I'm going to play the same pattern. So now instead of starting on C, I'm going to start on G, and when I jump up to here, I'm going to, instead of playing G, I'm going to play D. So it sounds like this. So now I just transposed it into the key of G major. So we've played the C major scale this year, we've played G major, but we also just finished before B minor, we played D major as well. So now if I want to transpose this pattern into the key of D major, now I'm going to take the first note of D major scale and I'm going to take the fifth note of D major scale. So D is note number 1, and then the fifth note, D, E, F sharp, G, A. So now I'm going to be using D's and A's. So I'm going to use the same pattern. Instead of C, now I'm starting on D, and I'm going to play it in the key of D major. So it sounds like this. And now I've transposed it again. So I transpose it 2 times. What I'd like you to do, as soon as I finish with the instructions, you can press pause again and you can do it. Play it in the key of C major, line number 1, then play it in the key of G major, starting on G, and then play it in the key of D major, starting on D. So go ahead and play line 1 of W10 in those 3 keys. And so press pause, and when you're done, then press play again, and we'll go to the next thing in our lesson. All right, so now what I would like to do is I'd like to do a little bit of rests in a measure. So on my table here, I have a rhythm set up with some notes in it, but some of the beats are missing a note. And so what we need to do, and we've done this before in class, is we need to add rests to complete the measure. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to show you. I'm going to talk it through. So we just need to move over just a little bit so we can see the whole time signature. There we go. Okay, so my time signature is 3/4. That means I have 3 beats in my measure, and my beats are strong, weak, weak, strong, weak, weak. So remember, this is your dad, and these are babies. Is your dad strong enough to pick up a baby? For sure. But is a baby strong enough to pick up another baby? We know that another baby is not, right? So when there's a strong beat first, we can join the rest together. But when there's a weak beat first, we can't. So what kind of rests will I add to this measure? Well, I'm 3/4 time, and I have 1 beat so far. I have a TT. So I have a beat here, and I have a beat here. So 2 baby beats. A baby beat can't pick up a baby beat, so we cannot join the rest together. So that means I have to have separate rests, which means my rhythm would look like this. So I would have a TT for beat 1, and then I have 2 ta rests, because a baby can't pick up a baby. In measure number 2, though, I have my red beat first that's empty, and I have white beat second that's empty. So what rest could I use instead? Would I do this again, or would I use a half rest? Well, I can use a half rest because your dad is strong enough to pick up a baby, so then we can join the rest together, and we have 2 beats of rest here. So this would be the correct answer if you were writing rests. And in your Bright Ideas pages this week, you're going to be doing that. So let me mix up the rhythm a little bit, and then I want you to have a look at what I do. Sorry, I just have to grab one other beat that I missed here. So just give me 1 second. Okay, so I'm going to put a rhythm here, and I'm going to use some half beats. So I split my second beat in half, and so now I'm going to change the rhythm that I have a little bit. Get the dot here. Okay. Okay, so now looking at my rhythm, now I want to add rests to the empty beats. So I look at my rhythm, and here I have my ta dot for 1.5 beats, and I have a ta over here, but I have this half beat in between that needs a rest or rests. So if we look at the rests that we have, the options that we have a T rest, we have a ta rest, we have a whole rest, and we have a half rest. So how many beats is this? It's just half a beat. So which one of these rests in 3/4 time gets half a beat? Well, it's just a T. So I'm going to put a T rest there, and that completes that measure. Now it's got 3 beats in it. 1.5 plus a half is 2, and then this is 3. So now over here, I only have a ta in between. So what rest or rests will I add? Well, I'm going to put this one over here for beat 1, and then I'm going to put this one over here for beat 3 because they are by themselves, so they hold their own rest. And now my rhythm is complete with rests. So on your Bright Ideas page, you're going to have rhythms that are in 3/4 time. And so you're going to add rests in 3/4 time, but you're also going to have rhythms that are in 6/8 time. And so in 6/8 time, we know that we have 6 beats, and now a T gets 1 beat instead of a ta. So I have to change the beats. So let me just quickly do that for you, and then you'll be able to see what I'm doing here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then over here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now I have 6 beats in each measure, and I'm going to need to add some rests to my rhythm. So I'm going to make a rhythm here, and then I'm going to put some rests in as well, so you can see some examples before you do your work today. All right, so here I have a rhythm, but it's not complete. So over here I have 3 beats. I have a ta dot, which gets 3 beats in 6/8 time, and then I have a T over here, which only gets 1 beat. So I've got a green and a white beat here that need a rest or rests. So in 6/8 time, it's strong, weak, weak, medium, weak, weak, strong, weak, weak, medium, weak, weak. So you know the red beat is a strong beat, that's your dad. The white beats are babies. There's a lot of babies in this rhythm. And the green beats are you. So your dad is strong enough to pick up a baby, and you are strong enough to pick up a baby. But a baby isn't strong enough to pick you up, and a baby isn't strong enough to pick up another baby either. So you have to think of that when you're adding your rests. So if I look at my rests, it's you first and then a baby. So are you strong enough to pick up a baby? Yes. So which one of these rests gets 2 beats in 6/8 time? Well, we know that it's a ta. Not in 3/4 time, it gets 1 beat, but in 6/8 time, it gets 2. So I'll put that rest there to complete the measure, and now I have 3 beats plus 2 beats for the ta, because you're strong enough to pick up the baby, and then we have the T. Over in this measure here, I have 3 beats that have nothing, and then I have 3 beats with a note. So what kind of rest now? Is your dad strong enough to pick up 2 babies? I'm sure he is. So we can join the rest together. What rest will we use? Well, what note gets 3 beats in 6/8 time? We know it's a ta with a dot, right? A ta dot gets 3 beats. So a ta rest with a dot would also get 3 beats of rest. So we can join those together because your dad is strong enough to pick up a baby, We know we can do that. So we could join them together and we add that rest and that completes the measure. 1, 2, 3 beats of rest and 1, 2, 3 beats of note. So here's my completed rhythm. Okay, I'm going to do one more example for you before I finish off the lesson, and then I will give you your homework pages when I see you in person or on the video later. Okay, so let's change the rhythm a little bit, and I'm going to put ta there. And then I'm going to put a T there, and then I'm going to put that right there. Okay, so now I need to add rest to complete the measure. So I have 1 beat of rest here, or 1 beat of note here, and I have 3 beats here. I've got 2 weak beats that need a rest. Well, a baby is not strong enough to pick up a baby. We know that. So we have to separate the rests. So it would be 2 T rests in a row because each rest has to be by itself. So this is beat 1, beat 2, beat 3, and then this is beat 4, 5, and 6 together. And then over here, I have a ta for 2 beats. So I have a T right there. And now I need rests to add to it. So there's 1 beat of rest there. We know it's a baby beat. So we're going to have to add that right there. And then over on this side, just gotta grab some more rest because I don't have enough. I have 1 T beat in the middle, but I need T rests for the other spots. So I'm going to add some rest. Hopefully I have some more. Looks like I don't in here. So let's just use this measure. And I'm going to put these T rests on each side of the T. So I have 2 beats, 3 beats, 4, 5, and 6. And now my measure is complete. So on your Bright Ideas page, you're going to add rests in 3/4 time, and you're going to add rests in 6/8 time on page 63. All right, so if you want to have a look at that now, you can press pause or you can wait till later in the week and do it. Although my suggestion to you would be to do it while it's fresh in your mind so that you don't forget, because 2 days from now you might go, what did she say? I can't remember. So if you do it now, then you can remember all these rules about strong and weak. So give it a try on page 63 of your Bright Ideas page. Okay, so the last thing that we're going to do before this part of the lesson is over is E32. I gave you part 1 last week to play on E32, and that was, probably noticed, it was just Mary Had a Little Lamb. And so you play just like we did with Beethoven's Ode to Joy. We're going to do the same thing with Mary Had a Little Lamb, perhaps, if we can get back together, but I'm not sure if we will be able to. So my other suggestion to you is ask your mom to learn one of the parts, and then you can play it together with your mom and just do 2 of the 3 parts. But what I would like you to do this week is I'd like you to learn part number 2 on E32, and so I'm going to play it for you before I say goodbye. And so part 2 is the middle section of each line, and so this is not the melody of Mary Had a Little Lamb. The melody is on the top, and this is an accompaniment part that adds more music to make it sound more beautiful. So I'll play it for you so you can hear it, and that way when you practice, you know kind of what you're listening for. And so here it is, part 2. And so now I'll play 2 parts together. I'll play the Mary Had a Little Lamb, the 1 part, the part 1, and I'll play the part 2 as well. You do not need to play both parts together. You're only going to play 1 part at a time. But if your mom played part 1, the Mary Had a Little Lamb part, and you played part 2, this is how it would sound. then perhaps you have someone else at your home that can play part 3 when we add it, and then you could play all 3 parts together, and you could have a keyboard ensemble right at home. So it was really nice to teach you this lesson today, and I'm looking forward to seeing you to listen to your scales and to listen to your W page as well as your K page. So I will see you in a little bit. Bye.